888-835-2414.
This is Learning with Leslie. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Learning with Leslie, the podcast where we focus on making an impact from home, at home, and beyond. No, I'm not talking about the kind of impact that's gonna fall by the wayside when Google has a mood swing. I'm talking about the kind that will thrive no matter what gets thrown at it. I'm your host, Leslie Samuel from IamLeslieSamuel.com. And as usual, I got another exciting episode for you today. In today's episode 410, I'm going to be talking about AI, automation, and SEO. This is basically going to be my reflections on coming back from social media marketing world. I was at social media marketing world over the last week, and let me tell you, oh man, it was an experience. AI was a big topic. And surprisingly, there was a session on SEO that blew my mind. And what I want to do is I want to take what I've learned, I want to take from my experience, I want to put this all together and come up with an action plan for myself. And in the process, I want to share that with you. So AI, automation, SEO, my thoughts on social media marketing world, that's what we're going to be talking about today. What is going on? I'm actually really pumped right now because this is the first time I did an intro like that was completely unscripted. I didn't have any words in front of me or anything of that sort. I wanted to try it out to see how much I remembered. I remembered most of it. I decided to tweak some of it, and I just wanted to let it flow and just see how it goes. And I'm actually kind of pleased with how it went. So I'm geeking out here over the fact that I actually did it. Anywho, yes, I want to share my thoughts on what I've learned over the last week from being at Social Media Marketing World in San Diego, California. I was the main stage MC for the event, and let me tell you, it was an amazing experience. I went into this one a little different from how I've done it in the past, and let me tell you how I went into this. You may know I am a Christian, and that doesn't seem like it's relevant, but it's a little relevant, and we'll get to the content. But I went into this social media marketing world. Yes, I was preparing for it, but the biggest thing that I felt like I did to prepare for this is I made it an issue of prayer. Not an issue. I made it a thing of prayer, and I prayed so much for this event that it would be an amazing experience. I prayed for my emceeing that I would just show up and show out and do some amazing and exciting things that just engage the audience. I prayed that the people that I connected with, those connections would be deeper than usual. Like, there was so much that I was praying for this event. And this event was literally the best event I have ever attended. It is the best event I have ever emceed. It is the best event that I've ever learned from. Like, overall, the people that I connected with, the conversations that I was able to have, it was just the best event. And I am so excited and so pleased with how it went. Yeah, I'm thrilled. This event was awesome. So I connected with some great people. The emceeing, I know I did an amazing job. And I'm proud of the job that I did. I'm proud of the work that I did there. And man, I'm kind of on cloud nine. I'm not going to lie. But that was just generally about the event. Now, at the event, there were a number of talks. And one of the things that really stood out, and it's no surprise to me, I anticipated that this would be the case because of everything that's happening in the space right now. One of the things that really stood out was, yes, you guessed it, artificial intelligence, AI. That was the topic of almost every session. Yeah, we had dedicated sessions specifically about AI. We had Matt Wolf, who is a YouTuber that I follow when it comes to AI, because this dude just knows his stuff. We had someone did a talk on how to use AI as your digital doppelganger, so you can basically program it to think like you and to write like you and to create content like you and that kind of stuff. Like there were dedicated sessions on AI. But there was also other sessions and all kinds of other stuff like Facebook marketing, Instagram marketing, and YouTube and so on. And guess what was baked into all of those sessions? Yep, you guessed it. Artificial intelligence, AI, because there's so much happening in that space right now. So what I figured I'd do for this episode is this. I figured, I have some experience. I have a lot of experience when it comes to online business and entrepreneurship and building a business online. And I've worked with a number of clients that are building businesses online. I wanna kind of take what I've learned, summarize some of it, come up with a plan of action for myself in terms of what I'm going to do with my business. And that's what I've been working on, a plan of action. How do you implement this in a way that it's practical? And I want to share that with you. Now, the difference between this and some of the other things that a lot of people do and that I've done in the past is I'm sharing this now as I'm formulating it. And to a certain extent, in sharing this, it's helping me to formulate it. So this is like bleeding edge of my mind, if that makes sense. So I'm going to share all of those things with you as I'm doing it right now. And then you'll be able to watch as I take action on some of these things. I'll be able to share some of these things with you so that you can do similar things to help you to grow your business and what you're doing online. Does that sound like a deal? Does that sound fair? I hope so, because if it doesn't sound fair, then, or like it doesn't sound like a deal, then this isn't a podcast episode for you. Anyhow, I think it sounds like a deal, so we're going to get into that. Now, before we get into the actual details, I got to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by, oops, I pressed the wrong thing. This podcast is brought to you by Ecamm Live. Ecamm Live is the platform that I am using to record this podcast, specifically the video aspects of this podcast. It's what I'm using to switch cameras, and it's how I can say, here's this camera, here's this camera, here is this camera, and so on. It's how I can pop stuff on the screen and all that good stuff. Ecamm Live is an all-in-one video production suite that makes it easy to produce professional, high-quality video productions without having to spend a ton of time editing. So if you are into that and you use a Mac, this is what I highly recommend, and you can check them out at ecamm.com/Leslie. If you use the coupon code Leslie, it's going to save you 15%. I thank Ecamm for their sponsorship and their partnership and for creating this awesome app that I can use to do all the stuff that I am doing right now. So check them out and let them know that I sent you. Okay. By the way, if you're not subscribed on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe. If you're listening to the podcast but you want to connect and see my facial expressions, head on over to YouTube. I am Leslie Samuel on YouTube. That sounds weird. So youtube.com/@ I am Leslie Samuel. So check that out and let's have a good time. On that note, let's get into today's content. I just thought about something, and I would love your feedback on this. I just looked at the time, and we're getting into the episode, and I see that it took me 9 minutes to get to this point. Is that too long? Let me know your thoughts. Come over to iamlesliesamuel.com/410. That's the episode for this. Do you like the banter at the beginning? Do you like it, but it's a bit too much? Let me know if you think I should cut it down. All right, let's get into this. AI. Oh my goodness. AI is such a big topic. AI is something everybody seems to be talking about. And I get why we're talking about it. We're talking about it because it allows us to do things that we were able to do in the past, but much quicker, much more efficiently. And in some cases, if we do it right, much better. I've noticed this in my business in terms of helping me to come up with content ideas. I can quickly go to ChatGPT and come up with an entire content calendar. I can come up with an outline for a video within seconds. I can even come up with a script if I want to go that far. There's so much that AI has allowed me to do. I can go to, Midjourney, or even ChatGPT. I can stick with ChatGPT and I can create images. I'm working on a PowerPoint right now because I play piano for praise and worship at our church. And the slide backgrounds are all AI generated because it makes it so easy to this is generative AI, to generate content and images and those kinds of things. AI has really transformed the game for me and my business, and it's transformed the game for so many people. And at this event, it was such a prominent part of everything. There was a session from Matt Wolf on 50 plus ways to use AI to repurpose your content or to create content. And that thing was mind-blowing. He was just going one tool after the next, and so on. And he shared tools like ChatGPT and Claude and Google Gemini or Gemini, depending on how you pronounce that, for creating written content and brainstorming and so on. But then he shared tools like for image generation like Midjourney and DALL-E, and he shared things like 11 Labs for creating audio. You wanna record a podcast, but you don't want to record the podcast. You put the script in there, you upload your voice, and it will generate your voice for you doing this podcast. And what is mind-blowing is he played examples of this, and this is not new to me, but just seeing all of it together, playing examples of it, and it sounds so genuine. It's mind-blowing. He showed examples of video generation AI tools and how you can use like Opus Clip, which is the service that I use, or GetMuch for taking this video and cutting it up into shorts and adding captions and all of that stuff. It is mind-blowing. It is literally mind-blowing. He showed examples of how you can have AI write songs. Literally, you can say, write me a song about, and he did this, a social media marketing world and attending a marketing event at Social Media Marketing World and the effects that AI is having on the social media industry. And it generated a song, and the song actually sounded pretty good. There was the instrumentation, there was the vocals, there was everything. Sometimes it was harmonizing. I mean, listen, this is getting kind of crazy. AI is changing the game in so many ways. That's part number one. Now, a few months ago, maybe like 2 months ago, I recorded a podcast episode that the title was it was last month. The title was something along the lines of blogging as we know it is dead thanks to AI. Now, I actually still believe that to be true. I believe that blogging as we know it is dead. I believe because of the growth of all of these AI tools and everything that we're able to do with these tools, blogging is it's not going to be as useful as it was, especially when it comes to generating traffic. But then I went to this session on SEO. Now, it is not a session. I didn't actually attend the session. I watched the recording. And the reason I watched it is because there's a friend of mine. His name is Mitch, and he was at the event. Now, he has a multi-million-dollar business, creates a ton of content, and he is, like, when it comes to SEO, that is something that he takes very seriously. And he attended that session, and when I saw him after that workshop, he was like, listen, the session on SEO, that was the best session I have ever attended in my entire life. Now, for him to say that, I was like, yo, what are you talking about, man? I mean, it was on SEO, like search engine optimizing for the search engines. That's like so like 5-10 years ago. Are you serious? And he was like, listen, this guy, what's the guy's name? I'll find out in a second. But this guy, what he did, he runs an SEO agency. But what he did is he actually went through and spent a ridiculous amount of time studying Google's patents, like looking at Google's patents, studying it, trying to understand what they care enough about to patent it. And then he also went through a lot of the Google documentation on what they are looking for when it comes to AI generated content and how they view that and all that kind of stuff. And he came up with this presentation to walk you through the process that they use. And he showed how he's been able to generate a ridiculous amount of traffic for his clients. So not only that, I have a client that runs an agency that focuses on SEO. And that client came to Social Media Marketing World as well. That client told me basically similar things, like that session is going to change the game for them and their SEO agency. So I said to myself, you know what? If my client that I know is running a ridiculously successful business and this guy is talking about how amazing this thing is, I'm going to have to check it out. So I checked out that session and my mind is blown. Because I learned, you learn about, generating content and keyword research and optimizing your content for the search and all of that stuff. But he walked you through the entire process in a step-by-step way, making it extremely logical, explaining all of the steps and showing how, listen, if we are going to be creating content to try to rank in the search engines and to try to use that to generate business, we got to make sure to optimize that content. We got to optimize it at a level that you're taking into consideration exactly what Google is looking for. Now, fortunately, Google publishes detailed documentation about what it cares about. Some of the conclusions that I got from it is Google does not mine AI content at all. What it mines is, mass generated AI content just to try to game the search engines. No, you still have to abide by the principles of creating good quality content. The content doesn't have to be ridiculously long. It needs to answer the questions that people are asking. It needs to provide the value that people are looking for. This isn't going to sound strange or revolutionary or anything of that sort, but we're getting somewhere. It needs to give it needs to deliver on the promise. All right. If you have an article on how blood flows through the heart, show people how blood flows through the heart. You don't have to give them all this background information just to pad the content and make it as long as possible or to meet a 3,000 word requirement. You need to provide value. It needs to be concise in how it provides that value, and it needs to be on theme with the website. Obviously, getting backlinks to that is a good thing. There are good ways to get backlinks. There are bad ways to get backlinks. And what it emphasized for me, not that it's anything new, it's that since blogging will never be the same, especially because of everything that's happening in the field of AI, we need to be better at what we do. When it comes to SEO, I need to be serious about SEO. I need to be serious enough because, listen, my site ranks for searches, okay? And to a certain extent, it just kind of happens to rank for searches because of the content that I am creating. And, I am creating the kind of content that my audience is looking for. But with more intentionality behind it, I can rank much better. I'll give you an example. On my YouTube channel, anytime I create something on the cardiac cycle or the cardiovascular system, it takes off. And what I do is I have that, I put it on my blog, I have an article that goes along with that. And then when I went into my analytics and my search console, I saw that, you know what, I'm ranking okay for the cardiac cycle, or when people go to Google and search for the cardiac cycle. But I never really optimized that blog post to rank well for the cardiac cycle. So what I am going to do now, here's the key, right? Is I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna analyze that post. I'm gonna optimize that post based on what I know Google is looking for. I'm gonna optimize that post to try to show up in those search snippets that show up above the fold, because I'm ranking well enough. And the guideline that he gave is if you're ranking between the 1st and the 10th position, you can optimize to show up in those snippets. So I can optimize in that by saying, having a paragraph title with a heading that says, what is the cardiac cycle? And then in the body of that paragraph, I can say something like, the cardiac cycle is, and give us a very clear and concise definition of the cardiac cycle that is very clear for Google to be able to analyze and be more likely to show up in that snippet at the top of the search results. Those are the kinds of things. But then I can go on from there, because I also have a cardiac cycle guide that if you sign up to my email list, you can get access to. So now I can go through and optimize that post to feature the cardiac cycle guide, so that when people come there, it is obvious to them that they can get even more value if they sign up to get my guide. This is basic SEO stuff, right? But it's the kind of basic stuff that I know and that I don't do. Now, some other things that I can do is, and this is one of the things that I'm going to be working on today actually, is I can create a GPT in using ChatGPT and so on. I can create a GPT that has all of Google's requirements programmed into it. And then I can take my article and I can run it through that GPT and ask it, what can I do to make this better for Google based on these guidelines that Google gives? And it can say, okay, so this paragraph, you can adjust it in this way. And this paragraph, you can do that. Or you can consider adding some more headings and so on. And it will then help me to optimize that post so that it can rank better in Google, so that I can get more traffic, and so that I can convert more of those people to my email list. And that is exactly what I'm trying to do. So I'm using AI. I'm optimizing the content that I'm already creating so that it can be more likely to rank, even though, blogging is not the same as it used to be. If I'm going to have content out there, I want that content to be as effective as possible. And that's part of what I want to start doing more of. I'm going to start doing more of, and I'm going to start using AI to help me to do it better. That's number 2. Now, I said AI, automation, and we haven't spoken about that as yet, and SEO. We've spoken about the AI and the SEO. Now, what about the automation? Okay. I am a content creator. I create videos. I create this podcast. I have my biology channel where I create biology videos. I have this podcast where I talk about online business and entrepreneurship and all that good stuff, content creation and so on. And what I tend to do is the following, especially now that I'm committed to creating content consistently. I'm creating a podcast episode every Monday. I'm creating a biology video every Tuesday. I'm posting on social media every single day. This is what I committed to. this year in 2024. Now, what I tend to do, especially right now, because I'm trying to navigate all of this, is I will create a video and I will publish it on YouTube on Tuesday. I'll create the podcast, I'll put it on YouTube on Monday. And then I'll move on to the next thing. There are a lot of things that should be happening that are not happening. And they're not happening because I'm trying to navigate all this stuff. I'm trying to get into the habit of creating content creation. I don't have as much help as I used to have in my business. And there's just a lot of things that need to get done. Here is what I am envisioning now. This is the part where I'm putting it all together, okay? I'm envisioning a situation where I finish recording this podcast and I put it into a folder. I put the video into a folder. When I put that video into that folder, there are a series of things that happen automatically. This is what I'm envisioning in my mind, and I still have to work out the details on how this will get done. And as I work out those details, I'm going to share them with you. I imagine putting the episode in a folder and using the service Zapier to detect that this was done. All right? Then Zapier is going to connect to Google Drive. It's going to take that file and upload it to YouTube automatically. It's going to send it to a service that will transcribe it automatically and create a blog post for it automatically. And then from that content, it can automatically create an email that I can use to post it to my to send it to my email list based on my way of writing the emails, because I can train it to speak like me, basically. It can then automatically pull out a few key quotes and a few key things that I can share on social media. Now, this is something that I used to have someone on my team do that for me. But what if this can all happen automatically? What if once I just put that thing in that folder, everything happens that needs to happen? And yes, maybe everything can't be automated, but some of it can be automated. And then the rest, I can set up custom GPTs to do that for me within seconds. So now, and of course, if I have this video, it can then get added to Opus Clip. I think that's going to be one manual process, but then it can automatically chop it up into key little snippets with the captions on it automatically that I can then use to upload to social media, or it can get automatically uploaded once I approve it and so on. I can automate so many of these things and use AI to accomplish so many of these things that it just kind of works together in a way that allows me to more effectively create and promote my content. AI, automation, SEO. And then, of course, the SEO is something that builds over time. So as your traffic continues to increase, you have more people that are being automatically funneled to your email list. And then, of course, as you have products and services to sell, they are getting automatically introduced to those those products and services, because you have that in your automated follow-up sequence. I even found a service, I knew this service before, HeyGen, HeyGen. This is a service that I can upload a video of me, and then I can create a script and write those scripts and have it automatically have me make a video. It's like a deep fake of myself. Now, they just sent out an email. This is just an example. I'm not sure how I'm going to use this or if I'm going to use this. You can make it so that when someone signs up to your email list, or they sign up for your course or something of that sort, they get a personalized video from you that says, Hey, Mitch, I see that you've joined for my cardiac cycle guide. Thank you so much. I want to give you a few tips on how you can make the most out of it. And it's me talking. And you know what work I did? Nothing. No, actually, I did something. I set it up. I set up the automation. I set up the AI, and it does it. Like, this is mind-blowing. Now, for me, here's what I'm working on, because this is a business that I'm running. One thing I don't have in my biology business is I don't have a product to sell. And I am working on fixing that right now. I'm going to be creating a course, my first course in the biology space, and it's going to be a course on the cardiovascular system, teaching people about how that works and all that good stuff. Now, what I'm planning on doing is once I have that, now I can kind of complete my funnel or expand my funnel. Not complete it because it's going to continue to grow over time. I can expand my funnel so that when I post content on YouTube and then it gets shared on social and to my email list and all that good stuff, more and more people are getting exposed to my content. More and more people go to that blog post. And as a result of that, more and more people come onto my email list. And as they get onto my email list, they get introduced to my study guide that I sell for, I think, $27 or $37. I'm blanking on the number right now. But then they also get introduced to my course on the cardiovascular system. And then right there, right? Once you have something like that, all of this stuff is happening automatically as a result of you creating content and putting it out there. That is where I am trying to go, and that is what I'm working on in 2024. AI and automation and SEO, these are all tools to get me there. So here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about what are the main things you need to get done in your business. The things that you need to personally do, and just the things that need to get done in order to grow your business. What are the things that you're not doing that you should be doing? And then how can you leverage these tools, these technologies, whether it's AI, whether it is automation, based on like the stuff that you already have, like your email autoresponder service or anything of that sort. Zapier to integrate two services. When you do this, I want that to be done. How can you use those things in your business to help you take what you do to the next level? And if you can't even think about, like, you know what needs to be done, but you can't think about ways to automate it, then come on over to this episode and post in the comments. What are you trying to automate? And maybe, I might have an answer, or somebody else might have an answer. So come on over to IamLeslieSamuel.com/410, and you can leave your insight or your question or whatever it is you're working on right there in the comment. Listen, we all have 24 hours in a day. And we all have all kinds of stuff that we need to get done. And why not? Like, if the technology is there, if the technology is affordable, why not use that to make your job just a little easier? So yeah, that's what I recommend. My name is Leslie Samuel from IamLeslieSamuel.com, where we're changing the world one person at a time. Until next time, take care and God bless.